Question number 6, James Shaw.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and reads, does he stand by his statement made yesterday on the flag referendum that, quote, I've been very strongly of the view, I think it's in New Zealand's interest to change, and I hope that political parties can see past the petty politics of that, end quote.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, and can I commend the member on such a stylish tie? You know?
Supplementary.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, James Shaw.
So would he also say that it is in New Zealand's interests to see past the petty politics that are preventing cross-party consensus on climate change?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Government's always happy to have discussions about climate change, but thank you, my wife bought it for me. I quite like it too. But Mr Speaker, the government's always happy to have discussions about climate change, but we have over years developed policies which we believe are in the right interest for New Zealand. We're going off to COP21 in Paris with those settings, and in reality, we would never reach, even if we had a discussion with the Green Party, anywhere near their level of ambition, because that is at the very outer edge of what I think most people would find acceptable.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
So what is his response to Treasury advice from last October last year that calls for greater policy certainty around climate change and says, quote, probably the most significant step would be to secure a greater degree of political party consensus about climate targets and ETS settings, end quote.
Well,
the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I don't recall that specific bit of Treasury advice, but I would just caution the member about having the Treasury as his poster child, because let me assure you, the Treasury's advice to the government, as I best recall it, was have a far less aggressive target than the one the government actually said. They pointed out that the per capita cost in New Zealand was significantly greater than other countries, and from memory at one point I think they were at least suggesting that New Zealand's target should not be a reduction, but should be an increase off the 1990 rate.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
I think he does a disservice to the Treasury. Is he aware that...
Order. I know that it was a response to an interjection on my right. It would be helpful if the member would now just ask his question.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, James Shaw.
I seek leave to table an OIA request from Treasury received by my office yesterday with official advice on important decisions on climate change.
Leave is sought to table that particular document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Supplementary question? Supplementary question, James Shaw.
So would he agree with Waikato University Management School's 2013 business survey, which found that, quote, lack of government leadership has seen companies stop measuring their carbon footprint or put their carbon strategies on hold, end quote. And isn't it now time for this Parliament to show this climate leadership?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, no.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Why has the government chosen to act unilaterally when it comes to setting climate change policy targets rather than build a cross-party consensus like David Cameron's Conservative government in the United Kingdom?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I haven't looked at the process that David Cameron's gone through in the UK, but in terms of the government's position, as the member will accept, there are a wide range of implications as a result of the climate change target that's set. We believe we've set that in broadly the right place. We're going off to Paris and we'll see what happens as a result of those negotiations.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
So if, as the Treasury advice says, the business community itself has called for political party consensus, why does he insist on playing petty politics with climate change?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
A, I'm not sure that they have. B, I think the member confuses consensus and consultation to agreement. I can assure you, if the member wants to see the Treasury advice, I'm sure somewhere along the line it can be dragged out of the files, but the Treasury advice, as I best recall it, was to do significantly less than the proposal the government's taking to Paris.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, James Shaw.
Why does he believe that it is important to get cross-party support for changing the flag, but unnecessary for climate change? Where is the statesman in you, Mr Key, when it comes to the climate?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, here's an old-fashioned thing. We go to the election with a set of policies, and as the government, we carry them out. We're just calling political parties who went to the government with the same policy and now can't work out what they want to do other than play petty politics.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Order. Mr Brownlee's memory might be shorter than mine. Andrew Little.
Supplementary. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Andrew
To the
Little,
Prime Minister.
supplementary question.
To the Prime Minister, will he accept my offer made publicly to meet to discuss ways in which he and I and the rest of this parliament can restore public confidence in the flag referendum process to achieve a result that he wants and many New Zealanders would also like to see?
Order.
Mr.
The
Speaker,
right honourable Prime Minister.
I'm more than happy to meet with the member, but the point I've been making publicly is the same point I'd make to him now, and that is I'm not going to agree to a yes or no referendum. This Parliament voted that down. But most importantly, actually, there are now, I think, a couple of million New Zealand voters who are quite interested in this process, are interested in potentially weighing up the options. But if they want to decide that they want to change the flag, they ultimately need to know, A, what they're going to, and B, in reality, we accepted the best advice we could get from officials, which is unless you have a contender against the current New Zealand flag, you're very unlikely to get 50% or more of people involved. Mr. Speaker, we, the whole way through, actually have gone through a consultative process. If the member wants to do that, we're more than happy to have a discussion.
Question number 7, Ron Mark.